She called me just the ATM like I was a machine, not her stepfather, not the man who paid for her braces, her private school, her therapy when she started self-harming in 8th grade. Not the guy who worked nights to make sure she got the car she wanted for her 16th birthday, just the ATM. And the worst part, she wasn't even angry when she said it. She was laughing. I didn't mean to overhear it. I wasn't snooping, I wasn't eavesdropping. I was just walking past her room one night, a few weeks before her graduation. Her door was cracked open and I heard my name. That's what stopped me. Yeah, she giggled, he's just the ATM. I don't ask questions, he just spits out the cash. She was on FaceTime with her friend, legs curled up on her bed like any normal 17-year-old. Except my heart stopped in that moment. My stepdaughter Leela had always had a mouth on her, sharp, sarcastic, dry like sandpaper, but I never thought she asterisk meant asterisk it. I figured it was armor. Teenagers are weird about love, they don't say it straight, but this wasn't sarcasm. It was dismissive, it was casual, and it was real. I stood outside her door, frozen like some pathetic ghost of myself. Something shifted inside me. It wasn't rage, not yet. It was this cold clarity, like the sound of glass cracking just before it shatters. And still, I didn't say a word. I just walked away and shut myself in the garage, under the pretense of fixing the shelves. But I couldn't touch a damn thing with my hands shaking like that. Later that night, I brought it up to my wife, Leela's mom, Rachel. I told her what I'd heard, thinking she'll understand. She'll be just as hurt as I am. But Rachel just gave me this look, this blank, defensive stare like I'd just told her I hated her child. She's a teenager, she said. You asterisk are the ATM sometimes, and that's kind of the job, isn't it? Providing, don't take it personally. That was the moment the second crack formed, because it wasn't just what Leela said. It was that Rachel excused asterisk it. Worse, she minimized asterisk me asterisk. Like everything I had poured into their lives, into that home, was just a transaction. I was suddenly not her husband. I was an employee, a necessary, replaceable utility. Over the next week, things spiraled fast. I started seeing it everywhere, the little ways they treated me like a resource, not a person. Leela left receipts and shopping bags all over the kitchen island like trophies. Rachel kept reminding me about the upcoming graduation party, saying things like, make sure you Venmo the caterer, and we'll need you to drive to the party store and cover the balloons. Always will need you, never thank you. But I smiled, I nodded, I played my role, and I bought a tiny voice recorder on Amazon. I didn't plan revenge, not at first. I needed to asterisk no asterisk, needed to hear if it was a fluke or the truth. And oh, it was the truth. That following Thursday, I left the recorder on Leela's vanity table under a pile of hair ties. She never noticed it. That night, while Rachel was out at her book club and I was pretending to be busy fixing the router, Leela had 2 friends over. And the things they said, God, she's got him wrapped around her finger, one of her friends laughed. I wish my asterisk mom married a guy with money. Oh please, Leela scoffed, he's not rich. He just acts like it because he's trying to buy our love. They all laughed, deep, mean laughter, the kind you hear from people who think they'll never get caught. Leela kept going. He's not even my real dad. He's like a glorified donor, a wallet with a pulse. A wallet with a pulse. I listened to that recording a dozen times that night. I memorized the cruelty in her tone. I listened until the battery died, until my stomach churned with something darker than anger. Something hollow. I didn't sleep that night. I watched the ceiling and let the silence spread through the house like mold. The next morning, I emailed the audio file to myself and saved a backup on a flash drive, and I made a decision. If I was just an ATM to them, then I was going to give them exactly what they asked for. Nothing more, nothing less. I didn't stop paying for things right away. That would have made them suspicious. I kept the money flowing just long enough to plan the graduation party, to perfect it. Rachel wanted it at this upscale outdoor venue that had a vineyard vibe, all fairy lights and rustic charm. Leela had a Pinterest board of aesthetics she wanted. Lavender tones, moody lighting, a photo wall with neon cursive that read, "The future is mine." The irony wasn't lost on me. They gave me a list of expenses like it was a ransom note. Florals, DJ, custom cookies with her face on them, and of course, a slideshow of childhood memories. That was the only thing I insisted on handling personally. You, Rachel raised an eyebrow when I offered. You've never even opened iMovie. I can learn, I said with a smile. It's the least I can do. They shrugged it off and kept asking me for payments, more money, more deposits. I kept saying yes. My wallet stayed open, my mouth stayed shut, but my mind was racing. I'd always believed in letting kids learn from consequences. But no one ever tells you what to do when your kid doesn't even see asterisk you as human, when your own wife doesn't back you up, when your love becomes invisible. unpaid labor in exchange for emotional scraps. I watched Leela rehearse her valedictorian speech the night before the party. She was poised, smart, and effortlessly arrogant. "I want to thank my mom," she said into the mirror, beaming, "for being my rock, my safe place. My asterisk, everything asterisk." There was no mention of me, not even a token line. That night, I added the final touch to the slideshow. The day of the party arrived with sunshine and perfection. I'd spent thousands on that setup, chairs wrapped in satin, catering from her favorite Italian place, live string quartet during cocktail hour. Everyone came. Leela's friends, Rachel's family, even a few of my old coworkers I hadn't seen in years. They all smiled at me like I was the proud dad, and I played the part. I even held Rachel's hand during the speeches, as Leela went on and on about strength, independence, and how her mother raised her to be fearless. The crowd clapped. Cameras flashed. I stood there clapping too. My hands felt like lead. Then it was time for the slideshow. The lights dimmed. The screen flickered on. The first few minutes were standard. Baby photos, giggling videos from toddlerhood, grainy clips of Christmas mornings. Everyone was oohing and eyeing. Leela even wiped a tear from her eye. Then the audio shifted. The screen cut to black for a moment, and a new title appeared, How She Really Sees Me. Leela tilted her head in confusion. The sound began, her voice, clear, sharp. "Yeah, he's just the ATM. I don't ask questions, he just spits out the cash." Her friend laughed. I watched the color drain from Leela's face like someone had pulled the plug on her bloodstream. Then the second clip rolled. "He's not even my real dad. He's like a glorified donor, a wallet with a pulse." People in the audience started shifting in their seats. Rachel whipped around to look at me, eyes wide, lips parted like she just swallowed a shard of glass. "What the asterisk hell is this?" I didn't answer, I just watched the screen. Another clip played, this one with the laughter. The cruel, careless teenage kind. The room went dead silent except for Leela's voice calling me emotionally weak, asterisk pathetic, and desperate for love that's not mine to claim. The slideshow ended in silence. No applause. Leela stood frozen, tears pooling but not falling, mouth opening and closing like she wanted to speak but couldn't find air. I walked up to the mic slowly, deliberately. "I want to thank everyone for coming," I said, calm, composed. "This has been enlightening." Rachel was already on her feet, storming toward me, hissing, "How asterisk dare you?" I turned to her. "No," I said softly. "How dare you, for watching me kill myself to support this family, and letting her believe I was nothing but an ATM. You knew, you always knew." She looked down on me. "She's a asterisk kid asterisk," Rachel shouted. "You're the adult, that was a private conversation." I looked at Leela. "Was it private when you said it to your friends? Was it private when you posted about me online? When you mocked me in rooms I paid to build?" No one knew what to say. The string quartet had stopped playing. The servers stood motionless by the wine bar. Leela's friends had turned to stone. I dropped the mic, not dramatically, but like a man setting down the final weight he'd carried for too long. Then I walked out of the party. I didn't drive home. I didn't even know where I was going at first. I just got in the car and started driving, the hum of the engine dulling the scream inside my skull. 10 minutes, 30, an hour. The road stretched ahead like a black ribbon unraveling everything I thought my life had been built on. Eventually, I pulled into a cheap motel on the edge of town. It was the kind of place you'd never look at twice, the kind that smells faintly of mildew and broken dreams. I didn't care, I just needed stillness. That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the water-stained ceiling and thought about every late night I'd worked overtime, every vacation I postponed, every dream I shelved because they needed me. Because she needed me, I thought about the moment I fell in love with Rachel, back when she was still laughing at my jokes and holding my hand like it meant something, before her love hardened into expectation. But more than anything, I thought about Leela, about how I'd watched her go from a scared little girl hiding behind Rachel's legs to a teenager with walls so high even I couldn't see over them. I tried. God, I tried. I taught her to ride a bike, took her to her first concert, sat in the ER for 8 hours when she twisted her ankle at volleyball practice. But no matter how hard I tried, I never got to be dad, just the ATM. Just a line item in her life's budget. The next morning, I turned my phone back on. Over 70 missed calls and texts. Rachel, Leela, unknown numbers, her uncle, her grandmother, one from her biology teacher. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I drove to the bank. You see, while Rachel was planning the party, I was quietly moving accounts. Not out of spite, at least not at first. I just didn't feel safe anymore. Something inside me snapped the day she dismissed my pain like it was inconvenient. So I created a new checking account, rerouted my direct deposit, transferred my savings, froze the shared credit cards. I even had the locks changed at the house after the party and sent a notice through my lawyer explaining that they'd need to vacate within 30 days. The house was an asterisk my asterisk name, always had been. 2 days later, Rachel showed up at the motel. She didn't knock gently. She pounded on the door like she had a right to be furious. I opened it halfway, kept the chain on. Opened the damn door mark. What? I don't think so. She looked like hell, eyes bloodshot, skin pale, lips chapped from chewing them raw. You humiliated her, she said, voice shaking. No, she humiliated me. I just gave everyone a chance to hear what I already knew. She's 17, Rachel screamed. She made a stupid comment. She did asterisk mean it. I studied her for a long moment. She didn't mean it the first time, or the second, or the fifth. Rachel didn't answer because she couldn't. Instead, she looked down, jaw trembling. You destroyed her big day. And she's destroyed years of my life, I said. But I didn't bring that up at her party. Tears welled in Rachel's eyes. For a second, I saw a flicker of the woman I married, the one who'd once leaned on me with trust instead of resentment. She opened her mouth again, but I stopped her. Rachel, I said quietly, you didn't just let her treat me like a stranger. You encouraged asterisk it. Every time you laughed it off. Every time you let her roll her eyes at me. Every time you made me feel like the outsider. In the home, I paid for asterisk. Her shoulders slumped, the fight drained out of her. I don't hate you, I continued. I finally see you. She wiped her face and turned away, whispering, I didn't think you'd ever leave. That stung more than anything, because it was true. I was dependable, predictable, a fixed variable in her life equation, until I was. After she left, I got a text from Leela, just 2 words, why now? I didn't answer, what could I say? Because now, finally, asterisk, I mattered asterisk to myself. 3 weeks passed, 3 long, silent, liberating weeks. I didn't speak to Rachel or Leela during that time. My lawyer handled the logistics, the 30-day notice, the utilities transfer, the legal confirmation that the house was mine alone. I had no interest in dragging things into some ugly custody-style battle. There was no child to fight over, just disappointment, just distance, just wreckage. Rachel and Leela moved in with Rachel's sister across town. I heard through a mutual friend that Leela refused to go to her own graduation party reschedule, that she stayed in her room for days, furious, humiliated, unreachable. Part of me wanted to feel guilt. Some part of me tried to, but when I stood in my newly quiet house, stripped of perfume and teenage music and the endless background noise of someone else's needs, I felt peaceful, sad, yes, hollow even. But peaceful, and then the letter arrived. Not a text, not an email. A real letter, folded paper, handwritten from Leela. It was tucked in my mailbox, no stamp, clearly hand-delivered, my name in looping cursive on the outside. I held it for hours before I opened it. Something about it made my stomach twist. Maybe it was the sudden shift in tone. Maybe it was the part of me that wanted asterisk redemption. Or maybe I was afraid she'd double down and call me a monster, an abuser, a narcissist. God knows the internet is full of girls saying that about their dads, step or not, but it wasn't that. The letter read, Dear Mar, I know I don't get to call you dad, and I won't pretend I earned the right to. I listened to the recording again. Yes, I got a copy. I found it in one of my group chats. Of course someone recorded it. I hated you for days. I told myself you ruined my life, that you were cruel, that you wanted to hurt me. I told myself every lie I could just to avoid admitting the truth. But the truth is, I was asterisk cruel. I didn't say those things because I believed them exactly. I said them because they were easy, because I was angry at things that had nothing to do with you, because it made my friends laugh. Because it gave me power, but you didn't deserve any of it, not even a second of it. You were the only constant in my life, and I made you feel like a placeholder, a vending machine, a ghost. I don't expect forgiveness. I just need you to know I hear you now. Love. Leela. I stared at the paper for a long time. Her handwriting had changed since middle school, sharper, more confident. But the last line was what broke me. I hear you now. What? Not I'm sorry asterisk, not I miss you asterisk, not asterisk please come back. Just I hear you. It was the first time in years anyone in that house had listened. I didn't write back, not yet. I wasn't sure what I'd say. I needed time to know if those words were real or a guilt-soaked reflex. If they came from a young woman realizing the weight of her cruelty, or just a teenager desperate to undo a public embarrassment. But I did something I hadn't done in years. I booked a weekend trip for myself, just me. I picked a cabin in the mountains, no cell service, no credit card limits to worry about, no one expecting anything. The air up there was sharp and clean, like it cut away the layers of resentment still clinging to my lungs. I stood on the porch with coffee in hand, watched the sunrise through the pine trees, and I let myself feel it all: loss, grief, betrayal, and a strange, unexpected kind of hope. Because something was finally changing, not just for them, for me. The weekend away was more than just a break, it was a reckoning. A sacred silence where I could finally hear the parts of myself I'd buried under years of compromise. I took hikes through trails with no names, let my legs ache and my chest burn from the climb. I ate quietly, slept deeply, and didn't once check my email. For the first time in over a decade, there were no requests, no bills to split, no passive-aggressive sighs from down the hallway. And still, somewhere between the second sunrise and the whiskey I poured that last night, I thought about her again, Layla, the girl who used to braid little pink ribbons into our dog's ears, who once cried into my chest after a nightmare about her biological father disappearing again. The same girl who, over time, had grown sharper, colder, almost weaponized in her detachment from me. But now, I wondered if she had simply learned that from her mother. Rachel had always kept her love in a closed fist, offering just enough warmth to keep me trying, but never quite opening all the way. She was affectionate when she needed me, distant when she didn't. I thought I could fix it. I thought I should, but looking back now, I realized I was parenting two people at once, my stepdaughter and my wife. I came home that Sunday evening to a quiet house, sunlit and still, mail stacked on the counter. The smell of lemon cleaner lingering in the air from the cleaners I'd hired. It looked like a model home, soulless and sterile, and mine, finally mine. There was another envelope waiting for me. This one wasn't handwritten. It was a formal invitation, Leela's college orientation weekend. It had her name printed on thick cardstock, a schedule of events, and a short note scribbled at the bottom in her handwriting: if you wanted to see the campus. Just to see, you don't have to say anything. No please, no sorry, but also no sarcasm. It was the first time she hadn't hidden behind a joke. I did RSVP, I just showed up. 3 weeks later, I stood at the edge of a campus courtyard, surrounded by parents with cameras and new sneakers and anxious hugs. I didn't know what I expected, maybe a glance, maybe nothing. But Leela spotted me immediately. She didn't smile, she didn't run, but she walked over, and that was enough. She wore a hoodie in that same defensive posture I knew so well, but her eyes met mine steady, unblinking. You came. I did. We stood in silence for a second. The air between us was thick with unspoken apologies and old pain. Did you hate me? She asked. I don't think I ever could, I said quietly, but I hated who you became for a while. And I hated how it made me feel about myself. Leela nodded slowly, her mouth pulled into something between a grimace and a smile. I deserved it, she whispered. I didn't say yes, I didn't say no, I just looked at her. Really looked, and I saw a girl standing at the edge of adulthood, terrified and trying in a clumsy, late, and messy way, but trying. I want to earn it back, she said, and that was the moment. Not the apology, not the party, not even the letter, but that asterisk, the desire to repair something without demanding forgiveness. That was what cracked something open in me. We didn't hug, we didn't cry. We just walked together to the orientation tent in silence, two people reshaping what they were to each other. That night I drove home and sat on the porch. The air felt different, softer. Rachel called, I didn't answer. Not yet. Maybe not ever. This story doesn't end with reconciliation, or a family healed by one dramatic moment, because real healing is quiet. It's made of small decisions, of boundaries drawn, of painful truths spoken aloud, of ATM machines turned back into men. But if you ask me now, today, whether I regret playing that recording at her party, not for a second. Because sometimes the only way people learn that you're not invisible is to make them see you.